So I want to tell you about an experience I had today, which was really interesting because I'm an author. I've been selling my books for a little while now, and I've just been newly diagnosed as autistic. And I've always had these things that have happened in my life that have made me think, oh, that's interesting. Why do I get like that? You know? And one of these things is that I can get quite overly stressed just before an event. To the point where I've even had myself just having rants, shouting, "Oh my gosh, we can't do this. We're not gonna get there." Oh, and quitting, going, "Do you know what? I'm not even going. I've had enough. I can't even cope with this," and it's really extreme. And I'm like, well, from a neurotypical personality, I suppose, which is what I thought I was. I was expecting more of myself. I was thinking, well, why do I struggle with these things? What the hell's going on? Why is my brain so stressed? And I thought, well, maybe it's time. Maybe it's because I don't do things in the best time. My timing can be a little bit off. So I thought, well, maybe it's because I'm rushing and I'm trying to get everything done. But that's not always the case. Sometimes I have planned, in advance. Sometimes I've prepped everything the night before and I've got a very few things to do. There's just this level of stress that I hit just before an event. So anyway, I've been getting super curious about my lifelong experiences that have made me wonder about whether I was autistic for a long time. Possibly over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been definitely wondering about it a lot more. And I kind of came to a conclusion when I was doing psychology about that I probably am. And it was to do with how I learn, really, because I was like, I learn in a very different way from other people. My learning is very visual. I have to, when I'm writing assessments, I do them in a particular way, and that works better for me. So it was actually to do with how I learn. And I didn't think of it as I learn worse or better. I just think I learn differently from other people. And so, yeah, it's been an interesting situation today because I came into the book fair and I was kind of nervous anyway. I had a little bit of nervous energy with me because we decided to take our dog, because we haven't last year we were told, we're dog friendly and you can bring your dog, so why don't you bring your dog along? So I thought, yeah, let's bring our dog. And the person right next to me wasn't very happy with dogs, and I'm not very good with conflict. I get really nervous with conflict, and he actually got quite upset with the dog trying to jump on him. So I tried to wrangle her and get her held down, and my husband was going to get the books, so we had to do all this kind of stuff. And it worked out that he ended up kind of getting quite angry with our dog, and I'm very protective of my dog. So we came to this situation where I was feeling quite uncomfortable and I didn't know how to deal with the conflict. So what I did was I actually moved out of the way, and we moved to a different table. So, I mean, end of the story, it was all okay in the end because a few people kind of helped us to get onto the next table. And the next table, we had a lovely a pair of ladies who were really, really lovely, and actually were really, really good with my dog. In fact, they just couldn't stop cuddling her. So, what I suppose I wanted to talk about was how I tried to manage it recently, knowing that I'm autistic, knowing that I don't respond very well to these kind of things, and I really struggle with conflict. So what I did was I decided to make the move. I didn't judge my emotions too much. I tried tried not to be too harsh on the guy, because usually I'd be like, oh, well, he's just a complete nutter, all kinds of names. But instead I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and talk this down into my head. I'm going to be very strict with how I see things, and maybe I can loosen up a little bit on how I see things and try not to view it in such a harsh way. And actually the day turned out really good. We sold some books. You know, I had a really lovely conversation with a fellow neurodivergent who was right next to me, who happened to be one of the lovely ladies right next to me. So that was really, really fantastic. And it actually turned out really, really good. However, that is something that I had to tell myself to do. I had to be talking to my own brain, saying, okay, Beck, just calm down, it's okay. You feel really uncomfortable with this conflict, you're feeling really stressed, you're already hyped up because you've got a lot of kind of socializing to do, you've got an awful lot of overwhelm, there's also chatter in the back chatter, that's not the word, but there's lots of chatter in the background, and so therefore it's going to be really difficult for you. So just be nice to yourself, and look, if you've got to move, just do whatever you need to do to make yourself more comfortable. And I did. And so I suppose one thing I would like to say about this day is that it worked out really amazing, because I took what I know about me and my autism and I worked with it, not against it. That's all I was trying to say. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is that my ability to do this when I know about autism is actually much better than when I don't know about autism. The reason being is that when you expect yourself to be neurotypical, you just get angry with yourself. You just get frustrated with yourself, as if you're a neurotypical in your own head, saying you should be doing this. Why aren't you able to do this? Why aren't you able to cope? However, when you're an autistic person talking to an autistic person, you go, oh, I get it. This is happening for you. All you need to do is do this. And you just click. So normally I would fight it and I would say, well, no, I'm not moving, blah, 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 blah. And I would just like, why should I move, you know? And it would just feel uncomfortable, and I would sit there feeling uncomfortable. Today, I just went, do you know what, Beck? It's really not worth it. I was in a better place originally. That's why I didn't want to move. I was in a probably more suitable place where people might, you know, see me better and things like that. However, I moved because I knew that actually I would feel better having someone who was nice and friendly next to me than having someone who was stressed about my dog or was getting angry with my dog. So I made a choice from an autistic person's perspective, trying to draw from what I know about autistic people and autistic adults, to actually change my position instead. And my husband's just come with the shopping, so I better go.